Hi, everyone. Welcome to this short little teaching series on polity. Polity is just a really fancy name for church governance. How is it governed? How do we make decisions? How is the church organized? And how do we make decisions and all those things? And just governance in general and structure. And so it sounds really boring, but the reality is polity is exists in every single church, and it doesn't matter if it's a Presbyterian church, a non-denominational church, a Baptist church, whatever it may be. The question is never do we have polity. The question is do we have good polity, or what kind of polity do we have? And so Presbyterian polity exists to help the church be faithful, not chaotic, to be connected and not isolated, accountable but not abusive, and to be mission focused and not personality driven. And so it's not revolves around a single person. Um, our church obviously is Presbyterian. Our church name is Dunamis Presbyterian Church, and so our polity is Presbyterian in structure and in form. And we'll cover that in another video. But basically, the heart of this Presbyterian polity is this simple truth from the Book of Order. In uh, s- section F, 102, it says Christ is the head of the church. This is in the Bible in Colossians, and it means that Christ is the head of the church. The pastor doesn't run the church. The pastor is not in charge. The session, the board of elders, they're not in charge. Not even the General Assembly, the overarching organization, the denomination that we belong to, is in charge. All authority in the church is derived, it's delegated, and accountable to Jesus Christ. And so what that means is that we, as like pastors and elders in the church, we're stewards, not owners of the church. And so that keeps us humble because that means we have someone that we have to be held accountable to, and that's Jesus. On the final day, he will ask us, how we held or how we uh, stewarded the church, and that keeps us humble. See, the church is not a nonprofit organization. It's not just a charity. We're not the board of elders, the session, the pastors. We don't run just a NGO, non-government organization. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to discern Christ's will together. And so one of the hallmarks of Presbyterian polity is this shared representative leadership. And so Presbyterians believe leadership should never be with one person. And that's because, people are sinful, people are fallible, make mistakes. And so Presbyterians share leadership with representatives. And so that means we have elders. That's why we have deacons. And that's why we have ministers, what we call ministers of the word and sacraments. Other denominations may call them teaching elders, but they're basically pastors, ordained pastors. And we all share responsibility. We all share authority. We all share, this accountability in governing the church. It's not a hierarchy. It's not like, oh, okay, the pastors and elders are up here, and then here are the deacons, and then here are the lay people. That's not that's not how the church is run, where everyone kind of answers to the top, like in the government or like in a corporation. Nor is it a pure democracy where everyone votes on everything. What it is a shared spiritual leadership. It's guided by scripture, it is empowered by the spirit, and it's ordered for mission. And we call it representative because our leaders are chosen by the congregation. There's a vote, and the way that we're organized is that leaders are chosen by the congregation. They must be voted in. And so um, another aspect of Presbyterian polity is that there are councils. So, if you've been to our ministry for any length of time, you know that we have a leadership team, a leadership council. The deacon board, that's another council. I'm sorry, the elder board, the session is another council. And so our councils are made up of a group of people. It's never like a single person, it's always a group of people. And again, that's because people are fallible. People make mistakes. People are prone to temptation and corruption. And so we don't believe in pastors and elders acting alone like a CEO. And so the way that the Presbyterian polity is structured is that there's the session. The session is made up of elders. That includes teaching and ruling elders. So elders and ministers of word and sacrament. And so that's the session, and they govern each individual church. So our church has our session. Another church, KUPC, for example, has their session. New Day Community Church has their session, and so each local church has their session. uh, Now, in a region made up of many different churches, that's the presbytery. And so our presbytery is the Midwest Korean American Presbytery, the Hanmi Presbytery. And that's made up of the pastors and the elders in that region. And so, um, the session is the very local. Presbytery kind of expands out to regional. And then we have the synod. The synod is a regional body of several presbyteries. And so we're part of the SALT Synod of Lincoln Trails Synod. And that includes our synod, or I'm sorry, our presbytery, Hanmi Presbytery. It includes Chicago Presbytery. It includes um, Wabash Valley Presbytery, Ohio Valley, and it's the Midwest Synod. And so we're part of that the Midwest region area. That's our synod. Now, so it goes session, presbytery, synod, and then the General Assembly. The General Assembly is a national council, and so the General Assembly has, kind of oversees and is in charge of the biggest picture, macro level, biggest picture, um, responsibility, strategy, and those things. And so each council, from session, presbytery, synod, and general assembly, each council has its own responsibilities, but they work together in a connectional way. And so it's not about control, it's about mutual support. Last year I went to, or a little bit ago, a few months ago, I went to a synod retreat for pastors in a new call. And the one thing that they were constantly reminding us and telling us is that the synod exists to help the local presbyteries. And, they were really giving us a lot of resources, gave us great time of Sabbath and rest, gave us a lot of, like classroom style lectures, but also hooked us up with coaching and different things. And so things like that. And so, it's really about mutual support and representative leadership. It's not about control. And the early church actually practiced this in Acts 15, where leaders gathered, they prayed together, discerning, and they sent decisions back to the churches. And so we stand as Presbyterians, we stand in that tradition of leaders gathering, discerning, and then sending decisions back to the churches. Um, so that churches are not making decisions on their own, uh, possibly even working against each other on accident. And so we work as councils, not individuals. And so, and the purpose of all of this is mission. It's the mission. Our book of order, which we'll cover in the next section, it says that everything we do flows from Christ's mission in the world. And so polity, it organizes us. It helps us to prevent chaos and disorganization and frustration that comes from that. It helps us to empower leaders. It helps us to empower people to help make decisions and put in their skills and their talents and their strengths at work for the local church. It helps to resolve conflicts that may arise in between churches or maybe even in between presbyteries. It helps us to maintain unity in all these different churches made up of different people, and it makes sure that decisions are made fairly and wisely. And so when you are voting for someone, when you vote for a deacon or an elder or someone, even a pastor, you're making a decision to vote for this person because you're saying, I trust that this person will make the best decision um, for us as a whole. And so it helps us also to stay focused on worship, discipleship, and service. And so good polity doesn't slow the church down. Good polity keeps the church healthy. it keeps it organized, and it keeps us focused on mission, what we were designed to do and what we're called to do. And so, to summarize Presbyterian polity, it's representative, it's ordered, it's connectional, and it's the shared way in which we as believers follow Jesus together. When we're able to come together, be on the same page, then we're able to best live out our faith in a in an impactful manner. And so, good polity keeps us humble, it keeps us accountable, and it keeps us unfocused. And so, I hope that this little series tells you what Presbyterian polity is, but also how we're organized. And so, the next couple of videos that are going to be posted up, we'll talk about the Book of Order, why that's important to us. Is basically our constitution in the church. We're going to talk a little bit more about councils. We're going to talk a little bit more about ordered ministries, such as pastors, elders, and deacons. And then we're going to also talk about how decisions are made. So this is the first of five. And I hope that it is blessing to you, informative, but most of all, it's really equips you to take part and live out your life, your best life in the church together. God bless.